that you like to deal with, and there's not many people like you that want to, look under every rock and in every corner and crevice. Most people just want to get along and they just want to live their life. And, you know, you and I are people that don't. We want to really get to the bottom of things. We want to really understand things. And when we turn over a lot of stuff, you see a lot of things that maybe, oh my God, I didn't realize it was that bad. So that's where we're at. And because the drug war is such a moneymaker for so many people, that this honorable man, almost like, in some sense, a Christ-like figure, his name means the anointed one, as does mine means little Christ. There's a lot of people in the movement, Chris Bennett, the name of Christ, or implying in your name things, we just realize, we have to give of our life to the truth. We can't just sit back like the average Joe and not participate in this monumental change to bring and restore hemp, in a sense, God back to people. The power of God in a manifested, in a tangential sense.
Isn't that
this cannabis plant?
Wouldn't you call that Christ consciousness? Isn't that what marijuana does? It induces and facilitates a Christ-like consciousness.
Well, you're never going to get any Christian identity people to ever listen to your show anymore if you talk like that. But that is the THC message, okay? And that's why we bring the THC message in. Roger and I were ordained in the religion of Jesus Church, but we said that if we're going to bring around the world, if we're going to bring people together for peace and love in a real meaningful way, we have to get away from things that divide us. So let's just think, if we think of God as love, let's just say love. And when we find love, we just find it through THC. So we just say the THC ministry is the One Love Church. And we come together and we all love each other. So we don't hate Muslims, we don't hate Jews, we don't hate Christians, and we don't hate atheists. We don't hate anybody. Everybody can come, and you don't even have to use THC, but you have to believe in one love. And that is the transcendence. And that is the mystery. And that is Roger Christie in all his good manners. And the police don't want to put him in jail. Nobody wants him in jail. I'm telling you the truth. He's in jail right now. He's ministering. The guards are calling him, Reverend Christie, with honor. They're not saying it like mocking or something. I was in jail in Hawaii, and I was Pastor Ray, and I tell you, the prison guards were very, very... There was one guy that was on me who was supposedly, like a hardcore reborn Christian guy, and he wanted to take me on. But these guys would minister to me, these prison guards, even though they were corrupt in some way. We all have corruptions in us. Do we not, Clay?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we're trying, you and I, we're straight shooters, we're always talking the truth, and we don't care where the chips fall. And that's not too many people in the world. And so this is what we want the THC ministry to be about, but we want to bring young people, young guys that 20 years ago, Roger and I, thanks to Jim Kimmel, who 40 years ago started using cannabis in a modern sense in a church, that, and bringing back this old idea of cannabis in religion and to bring about good behavior in people and enlightenment. And now we have another generation, like your child, Trevor, and in Colorado, my son, they're in Chicago, and there's a lot of guys this age, 30, 28, and they're leading their own churches around the United States. And it's not just men, it's women too. So we do want to emphasize the women, the beauty, the goddess. It's all right to say the word goddess. It's not when when I was a Christian, a reborn Christian, and somebody said goddess, I would recoil. That's like saying the devil. No, it's not. It just means women have the right to be part of God just like men do. And so we want those women to come on the air And with and that's going to create the tipping point to get that cannabis hemp legalized again in the United States and get the joy back into people's lives and start tearing down these ghettos with love and people just doing the correct things, because they're using cannabis sensibly and living a good life, and the drug war just falls apart. But the CIA mafia doesn't want that to happen.
No,
They want to keep it going because they're making all the money.
I started the first head shops in Texas. That's why I was targeted then, I've got THC Ministries of Arizona, and I'm sure I'll be targeted again. But, the way I'm running my ministry, it ain't a church where you don't have to go any place. You don't have to go any place where the cops are going to be watching you. You're in church right now. And you're talking to a fellow pastor right now. You're listening to a fellow pastor here. RayChristl.
Absolutely. And this is what Roger was doing. He was going around. Now, while he maintained himself in just the Hawaiian Islands, they had him isolated. Everybody knew about him. They had legalized medical marijuana because of him and me and the people at the University at Manoa, University of Hawaii on Oahu, and some guys on Kauai who were activists with us, including the prominent Republican son there, he was pushing hemp as a Republican and saying, well, medical marijuana, that's not so bad either, but I can't let my son really say he's smoking pot. Well, he's teaching me all these things, as she was a Republican. And of course, it's Linda Lingle, who I was calling up on the phone on Maui, who's been the governor for the last 8 years. She's finishing her last term. Well, I've been out of state for that time. I've been on Cambodia. But she remembers me, and I would call her every week on Maui. She was accessible. In Hawaii, the politicians, you can actually go and meet them. It's nowhere else in the United States you can do that. And there's still that aloha spirit that they're trying to keep alive because people are not well educated. So anybody that really wants to, they just know how to give you 5 minutes and say, okay, thanks, and then get you on your way. So I get my 5 minutes in, I get my 5 minutes in, I get my 5, that kind of thing. And what can you do? But when you get a lot of groups of people, well, then the call goes to the vice commander who you're talking with, and he's letting you deal with medical marijuana on the side because he knows you're doing a good thing for the community. The police are there to help people. Ultimately, of course, they're to line their own pockets, and those are the people that put them there. But ultimately, they really do try to connect and do something. There are some real evil ones, but the average cops are, they're just doing their job, and the way the system is, they're not going to buck the system. You and I are going to buck the system, Clayton.
Been doing that a long time.
Yeah, so Roger Christie, he learned from me on Maui where I was dealing with the vice commander. He was very impressed with that. That really brought me up to some standard with him because I came and lost everything on the mainland when I did a festival next to Oprah Winfrey in 1992 on the 200th anniversary of the Bill of Rights. Now, you might have a few paleo conservatives in the audience there that want everything to go back to the Constitution. And we do want some constitutional liberty again. So on the 200th anniversary, we did a medical marijuana hemp stock, we called it, on my farm, and I was in the business of putting up stage, sound, and lighting festivals. And we brought all these bands that knew me, and they were all coming to my farm, and guess who my next-door neighbor was? Oprah Winfrey.
Oh.
And so Oprah, I tried the few days before the event with these people that moved to my farm about a week before the event that were the principal medical marijuana patients from around the country. And we wanted to bring them to Chicago, which was around the bend, where I grew up, and this was a gentleman farm I bought as a businessman. And I just found out that Oprah was my next door neighbor. And so we were like, let's do a medical marijuana show, Oprah. And she wouldn't talk with me. In fact, she called the DEA. The DEA started flying helicopters over my land before the festivals were putting up the stage. People are starting to come from all over the United States for the festival. Now, they surround me on the 4th of July and don't allow anyone to come to my property. And these were Woodstock laws that were put in after the Woodstock Festival to protect